Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about the top 40 most expensive action figures ever made. This is a list that I've been wanting to do for a while, so finally I sat down and in the name of full due diligence and research, I googled most expensive action figures ever made. And lo and behold, workandmoney.com had a very convenient list of what they consider to be the top 40, so let's talk about them. First up, in the number 40 spot, for $6,200, we have the 2007 Silver C-3PO. Yep, just like it says on the tin, this is exactly that, a little Lego C-3PO made out of the purest silver. No artificial flavorings or anything else. And that's one of the reasons he's so expensive. But that's not all. Because I think my Nana might have had the same amount of silver in her cutlery drawer. So why is this so expensive? Because it's Lego. And Lego, I swear, like more than Bitcoin or anything else, at the end of the world, Lego is going to be what people barter with because it's so darn expensive. So this is an expensive version of something that is already very expensive. Then add to the fact that it's one of a kind, baby. So if you want it, then you got to go and seek out the one person in the world who owns it, because that's the only way that you're going to get it. So that is why he carries a price tag of $6,200. At that price, I definitely wouldn't want to step on him. Next up, in the number 39 slot, we have the 1978 Star Wars Death Squad Commander, going for approximately $6,500. And this, like so many other figures on this list, it's due to scarcity, because you can imagine that after the initial wave, an action figure with the name Death Squad Commander, yeah, maybe some of the higher-ups might have thought better of it, because it just doesn't, invite many good connotations, really. Also, this was one of those blink and you miss it characters. You can see him on the Death Star seconds before they turn Alderaan into powder. He's there flipping some switches and doing some other little button pressing type things, but that's it. Which, of course, is more than enough screen time to warrant you a Star Wars action figure, but it's just the name, Death Squad Commander. I never seem to catch on. And our third Star Wars figure at the number 38 spot, we have Anakin Skywalker with the commemorative coin. And I guess that this is purely a simple case of scarcity, because for $7,500, that's a pretty spicy figure right there, but there's nothing too unusual or unique about it. It's just Anakin Skywalker with a coin, but dang it, I guess they didn't make very many of them, because those coins worth about $7,500 each. It's not a bad exchange rate. Number 37 is cracking the $8,000 mark, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that might shoot up this year because it is the original Barbie doll. So Barbie is about to take over the entire summer of multiplexes, but before it did, this figure was already going for $8,000. The 1959 original Barbie that just started the craze. I'm surprised it's only $8,000 actually. I thought it would have been more, but hey, I guess that people took care of their Barbies. There must be a fair number of them, but still, that's quite a lot for a Barbie girl. At the number 36 spot, going back over to Star Wars, we have the 1977 Star Wars Early Bird Gift Certificate Package. Yes, this was kind of an interesting thing that not a lot of people know about these days, because, well, I'm old, and I hang around with kids who were born after the 1990s, some of them after the year 2000. That's children right there. I mean, they don't even know that in 1977, Star Wars was such a huge phenomenon that when Christmas time came, there weren't actually enough toys to put on the shelves. That wasn't going to stop Kenner, though. They actually sold gift pack with certificates in there for the figures that the kids could then redeem later once they had the stock, which honestly, it's not a bad compromise, I suppose. I mean, it's going to be a little bit underwhelming for the kids, but it does mean that the figures would be coming in due course. However, if they actually kept hold of those gift certificates and had the figures with them as well, then that set together could go for about $9,000. And you know what? That could buy a lot of modern day Star Wars figures. Even a few Black Series. At number 33, we have kind of a compromise here. It's the entire set of the Muppets figures. These are actually quite modern, but this little article here is talking about what an entire set of them is worth. Hey, I didn't make the list. I'm just reporting on it. And $10,000 is apparently what it's going to cost to assemble the entire team. And I can believe that, because even though these are modern figures ain't cheap. And if you're trying to get an entire complete set with the various chases and the short run lines and this and that, yeah, you know what? I reckon 10 grand at least. Okay, it's not an individual figure, but it's the Muppets, so I don't mind including it on the list because the Muppets are awesome. Tying the number 33 spot with the Muppets, we also have the 1978 special action figure set of Star Wars villains. This is a rare 3-pack, which again includes a very rare figure. It's that damn Death Squad commander again. He just can't stop himself commanding death squads. And, well, the only thing that could stop you from doing that is the $10,000 price tag that goes with this set of 3. The Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, they're not that hard to come by in the grand scheme of things, but this unique 3-pack with the old Death Squad commander in there too, for $10,000, that could get you a lot of Kyber crystals. And completing the 3-way tie for the 33rd spot, we have the 2007 Gold C-3PO. I mean, come on. It's solid gold. That's all you need there. I love gold. 14 karat gold. This is one of 5, apparently, that were made. So not actually as rare as the sterling silver C-3PO, but then again, it's made out of solid gold, baby. I mean, could you imagine, like, losing that under the fridge or something? I would not want to have something so tiny that's worth so much. I just wouldn't trust myself. That's why I like big, chunky action figures. You're not going to lose that down the couch cushions. This guy, however, you're going to have to keep a close eye on, because for 10 G's, yeah, you don't want to misplace that. Moving on now to the 32 spot, we have the Zen Creations Naruto Shippuden Naruto Uzumaki. Now, this 1/6 scale action figure retails apparently for about $10,105. That's the price listed here. And apparently it's purely just due to scarcity. I mean, Naruto is hugely popular. I'm not a big anime guy, but I know what the kids seem to like. So there is a huge following for Naruto, and I guess that this was just made in very, very limited quantities, because a 1/6 scale figure, you're probably looking at like a few $100. But over 10,000, that's a pretty rare, pretty popular action figure. Number 31, we go back to Star Wars with the special 3-pack Imperial set. This set is listed as retailing for about $10,999. And again, don't ask me, I don't make the news, I just report it. Ask the good people at workandmoney.com. But honestly, I can believe it. The 1980s Star Wars figures, man, when you get the scarce ones, they start to go up in price big time. And this was a set to go with arguably the best Star Wars movie ever made, Return of the Jedi. Nah, I'm only kidding. It was The Empire Strikes Back. Though personally, Return of the Jedi is my favorite, Ewoks be damned. Regardless, this 3-pack of villains, very hard to come by, and for 11 G's, you might be able to get one for yourself. At number 30, we have the Medicom Bear Brick Mickey Mouse, retailing for approximately $11,200. Oh my goodness! It wasn't until I finally moved to Japan that I realized what bear bricks are and how freaking massive the whole bear brick industry is. I've even got a couple myself because they do Clone Saga Ben Reilly bear bricks. Of course I'm gonna buy them. However, this one is a weird urbanized Mickey Mouse style bear brick. And I don't know, but people really want it. At least one person did. The last one listed as being sold did go for $11,200. So whether it's for an investment or just so you can ride in the carpool lane, this guy goes for a lot of money. Number 29, it's back to Star Wars with the Empire Strikes Back Medical Droid FX7. Made by Palitoy as opposed to Kenner, this figure represents the thing that nursed Luke Skywalker back to health at the start of Empire Strikes Back when he's in the Bacta tank bobbing around. And yeah, for $11,500, you can pick one up for your own collection as well. But honestly, I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit of a Star Wars aficionado, but even if I was looking at your collection and he was absent, I wouldn't be like, dude, what are you doing? You don't have FX-7? Call yourself a Star Wars fan? Jog on, mate. And finally taking his place on the list at number 28, it's the 1979 Boba Fett. This guy retailing for approximately $12,000. Now, this original Boba Fett toy wasn't made to commemorate his appearance in The Empire Strikes Back. It was made due to his first appearance in, yep, you know it, the Star Wars Holiday Special, where he appeared in an animated segment. Kind of was like a little amuse-bouche for Boba Fett before he went out of date and got a bit stinky with the Disney Plus shows. Nonetheless, there was a time when Boba Fett was the coolest character on the entire planet, and the very, very first action figure ever made for him, yeah, he goes for a pretty penny. And sticking with Boba Fett in the number 27 spot, we have the 2010 LEGO Boba Fett Gold Collection. Again, just like the previous ones, does what it says on the tin. These are extremely rare LEGO action figures, not only of a crazy expensive property being Star Wars LEGO, but also being Boba Fett and being cast out of solid gold. At least one of them is. The other one is sterling silver, and another one is white ass? I can't read what that says there. I know it's not white ass. It looks like he's made out of white ass, though. That's just what I can read there. Either way, 1 of 10,000, 1 of 2, and 1 of 2. So there's a lot of scarcity going on there. If you have them all together, of course, that makes it even more unusual and rare and special. And yeah, you can take those to the bank. In the number 26 spot, for $13,600, you can pick yourself up a McFarlane Toys Babe Ruth. Now, understandably, you might be thinking, McFarlane Toys, that's like super modern. They came out in the 90s. Like, how rare can this be? Well, 1 of 5. Yeah, I don't know why there's only 5 of them. That's crazy. I know that Todd McFarlane is a huge baseball fan, and like he spent crazy money on balls and all that kind of memorabilia and stuff. So I don't know, maybe he wanted to make his own super scarce, super rare memorabilia. And if that is the case, then congratulations, Todd. You succeeded. You got this incredibly rare Babe Ruth who now goes for thousands of dollars. You crazy toy-making lunatic. At the number 25 spot, for $14,595, we have the 1982 Masters of the Universe He-Man. Now, this is one of those figures that actually fits that classic stereotype of the kid's action figure that you should have held onto and not taken out of the box because it would be worth money later on. The kind that your dad was always telling you about, or at least that was, my dad was always telling me to look after them. I wish I'd listened more to him. Sorry, Dad. Nonetheless, though, if I had, I could have ended up with an extremely expensive He-Man. This was 1982, the very, very, very first He-Man action figure to hit store shelves. If you have him as mint as you can do on card, then yeah, he's going to be going for a lot of money. In at number 23, for $14,800, we have the Homies Season 13 set. And honestly, I've never even heard of these, so let's see what the website has to say. Homies, a series of small plastic action figures, represent a long list of Chicano Mexican-American characters. The toys were invented by David Gonzalez based on a comic strip he authored. They were first launched in 1998 and were popular prizes at grocery store vending machines. The set pictured above was a limited edition signature box set with 24 figurines from 2003, and it's hand-signed by David Gonzalez himself. There you go. Sometimes rather than riffing, I just actually have to read the information. That's genuinely fascinating. I guess it's an artist thing. You know, if you're a fan of the artist, you're a fan of their work, and also the fact that, again, it's a complete collection, all of that, it's going to add up and it's worth a lot of money to someone. And tying those figures in the number 23 spot, we have the 1986 Transformers Generation 1 Hasbro Autobot Sky Lynx. This guy going for $14,800. It's Sky Lynx. I'm sorry, he was one of the coolest Transformers of the newer generation. It was still Generation 1. However, this is after the initial wave. Then we got some more creative, unusual ones, and Sky Lynx was amongst them. Is he a dragon? Is he a space shuttle? Is he a tank? Is he a bird of some sort? I don't know. He's just cool, and he's bigger than all the other ones, and he separates, and like, does the bottom half of him become a jaguar or something as well? He's got a whole lot going on with him, and if you got him back in the 80s, and he's like mint in box still, and of course the thing that makes this really extra expensive, if you have him in good condition, is the fact that he has a battery-powered motor inside as well, which I imagine is probably broken on 99% of them, which is why if you do have one that's in full working order, that's where the big money comes in. In at number 22 for $14,802, we have Heroes of Goo-Jitsu Space Jam A New Legacy LeBron James Stretch Toy. Now this might be the most unexpected one on the list because these things came out like a couple of years ago. The Goo-Jitsus are still on store shelves. They're not hard to come by. Except this guy. Apparently, the Space Jam LeBron James Goo-Jitsu toy, for whatever reason, is incredibly rare. I don't know, maybe they just made a couple and then licensing fell through or something? I don't know. All I can do is tell you how much he's costing and where his place is on the list, and geez, the rest is for us to just puzzle out, I suppose. In at the number 21 spot, continuing with LeBron James, we have LeBron James head with balding. So when the LeBron James figure for Space Jam was released, collectors started to get into some sort of habit for some reason of stealing the heads off of the figurines and listing them on eBay. Honestly, I got nothing on this one. $14,900. That I don't buy that. You know, some older action figures, the rare stuff, the things that are made out of gold, I can understand the price stickers, okay? But I'm just going by what the website's telling me. And I know that sometimes when you say crazy things on the internet, people comment like, where do you get off saying this information? Well, that's what I'm saying to workandmoney.com right now. I'm like, what? Who? What? Who? So apparently people were stealing LeBron James heads from toys and selling them separately on eBay, and that made it impossible to find any. And I don't know. Someone's got more money than sense, I suppose. I'm just confused by this. And now we're jumping over to number 19. Where's number 20? Work and money, you're killing me here. You even had two things that were a tie. Why not just make them separate entries and then give us number 20? Why have you skipped a number? Man, I'm just asking all these questions so that I don't get them in the comments. Nonetheless, let's look at number 19. We have, for a nice round $15,000, the 1983 Mattel Masters of the Universe He-Man. So even though this He-Man was released after the one that was cheaper, higher up on the list, this one sold for more money because it was in better condition. And that's where these things start to get, you know, very subjective. Is one action figure worth more, or is it not because this one, which is less rare, is in better condition? It's the whole thing. So I think all of these prices listed are prices that they have sold for. Even the LeBron James heads. It's bonkers. Nonetheless though, 15 grand? For second generation He-Man? Yeah, what the heck? Fill your boots. But tying with the Prince of Eternia at the number 19 spot, we have Elastic Batman. There you go, not much more to add than the pictures you can see right here. It's $15,000 worth of stretchy, rubbery Batman. I guess, again, it's a scarcity kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. I've never met anyone who's desperate to get their hands on a Stretch Armstrong style Batman, but you know what? The kid on the box looks like he's having fun. Not sure if it's $15,000 worth of fun, but hey, as long as you're having a good time. At the number 18 spot, it's a modern piece of Star Wars Lego merchandise. It's the Millennium Falcon, and $16,000? Wow, I know Lego's expensive, but that's cuckoo bananas. Nonetheless, if you break it down to a per piece ratio, maybe it's not that bad because it's 5,000 pieces that go into this Millennium Falcon. That's a lot of time you're going to spend putting this thing together. I hope you get your money's worth out of it, because still 16 grand, that's a lot for the Millennium Falcon. And there's a few different Lego Millennium Falcons out there. I guess this one now is just, it's very old, very rare, very hard to come by, to the tune of £16,000. I bet it can do the Kessel Run pretty quickly though. In the number 17 spot, for almost $18,000, we have the 1993 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Scratch. Now we're getting to some of the more obscure classic action figure type action figures that I'm familiar with going down this list. I knew that Scratch the Cat was one of the most valuable Turtles figures ever made. This guy came out in the early 90s. The bloom was just slightly off the rose with Ninja Turtles. We were getting into the more unusual characters, the more crazy, off-the-wall, different variations, and Scratch the Cat was one of them. I guess they didn't make very many though, because this guy, yeah, it's going to go for a lot of money. I've said that quite a bit on this list, haven't I? I'm not going to slow down anytime soon either. In at number 16 for $20,000, we have the G.I. Joe Manimals Vortex figure. Towards the end of their run, G.I. Joe started to get a little bit weird. But then again, most kids' toy franchises did. Once they had the initial boom of popularity, it's like, how can we extend this license? I know, let's make Manimals. Why the heck not? Well, I'll tell you why, because kids weren't really into them. So much so that some of them were hardly made at all, which then again, of course, makes them extremely valuable for collectors. In particular, this Manimal guy here, yeah, $20 worth of collectible. $20? No. plus $19,880. There you go. $20,000 for a G.I. Joe Manimal. You know what? That sounds like a bargain. Yo, Joe. In at number 15 for $25,000, we have the original Superman toy. This is kind of a little cultural icon right here. To be fair, I'm surprised that it's only $25,000. I thought like the first ever Superman toy, I thought that would have gone for much more than that, but there you go. What do I know? So he came out in 1938, which is also right at the start of the Second World War. So I guess, you know, toy manufacturing wasn't at the top of people's priority lists, which I guess is one of the reasons why he's so rare. Plus, just coming out nearly 100 years ago. Whoa, just gave myself shivers thinking that was almost 100 years ago. We got a few more years until that actually is the case, don't worry. Nonetheless though, this Superman figure, geez, that face is going to haunt your dreams. But hey, for $25,000, you could get a lot of therapy. And in the number 14 spot, we have Luke Skywalker with double telescoping lightsaber. It's funny how valuable a small mistake can be. $25,000 worth of a small mistake, because Luke Skywalker, he's got a yellow lightsaber in this action figure. I know, I would have been frustrated if I was a kid getting this toy and I'm like, oh, what the heck? What is this, from a deleted scene? Considering that this is the 1980s where deleted scenes aren't even a thing that I know about, why does he have a yellow lightsaber? That's not right. Wait a minute, in 30 years it's going to be worth how much? $25,000? You know what, me being an impulsive kid, I'd probably still rip him out of the package and play with him, but you know what? I'd regret nothing. In at number 13, sticking with Star Wars, we have the Jawa with vinyl cape. You know what, some folks say you can't put a price on fashion. Well, you can do if that fashion is a vinyl cape, because $28,000 is what it's going to cost to get you a fully kitted out, suited and booted Jawa ready to go out on the town. I guess that, you know, most of them were opened. Most of those vinyl capes were ripped and torn and split and just destroyed, because that's what kids do with toys, if you're playing with them right. However, if you're one of those kids who kept it nice and neat in its little package and just stared at it for goodness only knows how long, well, you can reap the rewards now, because this Jawa with the vinyl cape, he's worth a lot of money. In the number 12 spot, we have another telescoping lightsaber mistake, this time being Darth Vader going for $30,000. This one is a bit more of a subtle mistake, but it's still not accurate. Why? Because Darth Vader has a purple lightsaber. Dang it, Kenner! You were so close. You almost got it right. No, you can't put out Darth Vader with a purple lightsaber. What did he do? Steal it from Mace Windu? We didn't even know who that was in the 1980s. That would have made no sense. Therefore, this got yanked off the shelves very quickly. Not quickly enough, however, because a few of them got through the net, and now you can pick them up for about 30 grand. In at number 11 for $35,000, we have Michael Lau's Gardener Uncle. Okay, I had to read the information here just to find out what this is all about. So Michael Lau is a Hong Kong-based artist creative, apparently. And there you go, that instantly just jacks up the price. I'm not an art person. Can you tell? Could you guess I'm not much of a connoisseur? Well, there are people out there who are, and they'll look at something and go, this thing is massively expensive because of X, Y, and Z. And I guess Michael Lau, he's got a lot of people who like what he does, and rightly so, because I mean, it does look cool. And it's based on his love of G.I. Joes and then other properties that he's kind of had influence from. I don't know. All I know is it's crazy expensive, and well, that's enough to rank him pretty high on the list. At number 10, we're kind of cheating a little bit here again. But again, it's not my list. I don't make the news, I just report it. We have the entire G1 set of Transformers toys going for approximately $40,000. So this isn't a one-off action figure, this is a whole set of action figures. But hey, look, still fun to talk about them and include them, especially because the G1 Transformers, man, remember when Transformers used to be made out of metal? Pepperidge Farms does. And this is just kind of glorious to look at. You see these pictures here and it's like, wow, that's... a full set of Transformers does look gloriously beautiful. So much so that even if I, gotta admit, if I had 40 grand in my hand and I was like, are you seriously offering me every single G1 Transformer? Ooh, that 40 grand would start to feel a bit heavy. I might have to pass it on and just take all the plastic and metal goodness. Nonetheless, though, that's not my decision to make. It was someone else's, though, and you know what? I bet they're pretty happy. In the number 9 spot, for a whopping $60,000, we have Vlix in his original packaging from the Star Wars Droids cartoon. So this guy was one of the villains from the Star Wars Droids cartoon, which only ran for 13 episodes in the 80s, and I think it wasn't really very popular because kids, myself included, saw it and went, why are we having a Star Wars show about the two lamest characters? Where's Han Solo? Where's Luke? Where's Vader? Complete waste of time. That's, man, Lucasfilm, man, you really whiffed it in the 80s in a few responses and regards. You could have made so much more money. Although if someone bought a Blix or a Vlix figure, easy for me to say, then they could still make some of that money, because even out of the packaging, this guy goes for about 5 grand. But mint on card, boom, $60,000. That's just... it's a bargain, is what it is. I'd pay double that. In at number 8, sticking with Star Wars, and wouldn't you know it, it's those dang telescoping lightsabers again. This time, Obi-Wan Kenobi is getting in on the action from 1977. Kenner, excuse me. I'm not going to fix that. Kenner put out an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he only had a yellow lightsaber. What is going on with the quality control here, Kenner? I don't know. And unfortunately, a few of those figures did slip through the cracks. They made it onto store shelves and into people's homes, and therefore, if someone was lucky enough to have one, still mint on card, looking the business, then they could sell that for approximately, oh geez, I don't know, $76,000? Yeah, that's a good deal. In at the number 7 spot, we have what I think is probably the most famous kind of legendary, expensive banned action figure, and that is, of course, the rocket-firing Boba Fett. Now, there's actually a lot of rumor and scuttlebutt around this. Some people saying that it was released and then recalled. Other people saying that it was just a prototype that was never released. Well, you know what? If you have $150,000, you might be able to find out for yourself. But I don't have that kind of money, and all I've got is a lot of internet searches that tell me different things. But someone did part with 150 G's for a rocket-firing Boba Fett. Whether or not it was one that was put out to retail and then reclaimed, or if it was a prototype that was never shown the light of day outside of the factory, regardless, he costs a lot of money, and I think, stop me if I'm wrong, probably the most famous rare action figure out there. In the number 6 spot, we have a bit of another cheat, really. It is the 1959 Barbie doll set, going for $161,000. This is a complete set of every Barbie ever made. Up to, I don't know, when was this list made? 2021? Maybe? Something like that. Regardless, it's about 15,000 Barbies. That's, I would pay you $161,000 to get those out of my house before they murder me in my sleep. Nonetheless, if you are obsessed with the plastic Barbie character, then hey, just have a little whip around, look down the back of the sofa, under the fridge, scrape together some cash. If you can get $161,000, then you could buy all 15,000 Barbies. What else are you going to do with that money? At the number 5 spot, we have the Steiff limited edition Diamond Eyes bear. So this is kind of a cheat almost, because I mean, it's not a scarcity or like a collectible type nature that makes this thing expensive. It's the fact it has freaking diamonds for eyes. This bear was made to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the bear making company. And they were like, you know what? Let's go nuts. Let's bling it out with diamonds in its eyes. So it's going to retail, you know, you want to pop into Toys R Us and pick one up. $193,000. At least it doesn't require an explanation. Just look at it. It's got giant diamonds in its eyes. There's your price right there. In the number 4 spot, we have the 1963 prototype original G.I. Joe. This is just kind of cool to look at. The one who started it all. Now it looks like a bit of a scary marionette type thing. But back in 1963, hey, look, this was a trailblazer and an eyebrow raiser. Speaking of eyebrow raising, so's the price. $200,000. But you know what? I can kind of appreciate that a bit more because you're buying a little bit of history with that. Again, I would pay that much money not to have a wooden mannequin looking thing in my... No, thank you. I like my toys to look like toys, not cursed items bought from like some traveling salesman. Nah, not for me, thanks. However, you might want to pick them up, and if you've got $200,000, you can do that. Go Joe. In at number 3, we have another kind of jewelry sort of cheat here. It is a diamond necklace wearing Barbie. There you go, I'm not going to wax lyrical on her for too long because it's a Barbie, which are pretty much a dime a dozen as far as modern ones are concerned. But then how do you want to add a few $100,000 to a price tag? Just give her a real-life legitimate diamond necklace. Well, that's what this one has, and she retails for $302,000. That's I mean, you could buy a human-sized diamond necklace for less than that, right? I don't know. I'm not a jewelry person. Can you tell? Decked out in all my finery. I don't know what, classy stuff costs. Except for action figures. They're classy. Okay, look, I've decided that the more expensive things get, the more terrifying they look. And case in point, at the number 2 spot, we have Madame Alexander Eloise. This doll was originally made to raise money for charity, and I hope that she did, because the last one apparently sold for $5 million. Hoo-ha! If that person who bought that out there is watching, maybe join the Model Behavior Patreon. Yeah, you got a few dollars to toss around. I mean, I'd appreciate it. You know I'd put it to good use. Nonetheless, there are only 5 known to exist in the entire world, each outfitted with Christian Dior and Oscar de la Renta attire, as well as Harry Winston diamonds and Swarovski crystals. So there you go, another action figure that's not really, rare or expensive due to quirky stuff. It's just literally been made to be expensive, which I feel is kind of cheating. But hey, this isn't my list. Just before we hit the number 1 spot, I want to give an honorable mention to Marvel Legends. This is the channel that was built on Marvel Legends, and there are 2 of them that are actually very famous for being incredibly rare and incredibly expensive. So first of all, we have Silver Shirt Luke Cage. It's your regular Luke Cage, but he's in a dapper silver shirt. That's literally it. Then you've got Psylocke, but it's the Crimson Dawn variant. So it's Psylocke, but with this red marking over her face. Doesn't sound that spectacular. However, when you realize that apparently only about 12 units were made of each figure, that's crazy. Crazy enough to warrant between $2,000 and $3,000 price tags for each. So that's what we're talking about. When you're looking for most expensive Marvel Legends, those are the 2 big rare ones. And I know that if I didn't mention them, then they would have come up in the comments. And I'm like, let it be known that I at least know about these guys. Who knows? Maybe I'll buy one day. Highly unlikely, but you got that collector's mentality. Got to finish that Marvel Legends set. Am I right or am I right? And finally, in the number 1 spot, didn't I tell you that the further down this list we go, the more terrifying some of these things look? Well, I present for your consideration the L'Oscille doll. I have no idea if I pronounced that right, but hey, for $6.2 million, you could probably afford some elocution lessons. And this figure right here. I mean, it's a feat of engineering. Certainly, about 2,000 moving parts. It can actually, it's more like an automaton. It can move around, it can play the flute, it watches. It's an artistic project more than an action figure, but I guess it kind of technically qualifies. I mean, it's bigger than a HasLab Sentinel by the looks of things, and a lot scarier to look at. But there you go. I had no idea that this existed, but thanks to workandmoney.com, now there's a whole new batch of nightmare fuel there, because whew, I would pay $6.2 million not to be left in a room alone with this thing, because, yeah, Davey don't play that. But there you go, guys. That is the complete list, according to workandmoney.com, of the top 40 most expensive action figures in the world ever. What did you think about this list? Comment below. Let me know. And are there any that were obviously missed off? Not that I'm aware of. And do you know the true origins of rocket-firing Boba Fett? Comment below, let me know. Folks, if you like this show and you want to see more and help me get episodes out in good time, then you can go over to patreon.com/displaying-model-behaviour. Toss a couple of bucks my way, and that really helps out the channel. I can keep the lights on, and I can dedicate less time going to work and more time making videos. And hey, I know that makes me happy. So gang, thank you so much. Oh, and go and follow me on Instagram and join the Facebook groups. All the links are in the description below. And go grab a t-shirt too. I'm just in full shill mode right now. Gang, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cool.